Metro Kia of Madison. Metro Kia of Madison, Madison's trusted Kia dealer. Stop into Metro Kia on the east side of Madison or visit metrokiaofmadison.com. This is the Jump Around with Jim Rutledge and Pablo Iglesias.
If they make the Sweet 16 this year, it's an A+. Like, it is an A+ season for Badger basketball if they make the Sweet 16.
When you're the first player since Michael Finley to go back-to-back games with scoring 30 points, that is great company for John Tonje to be in.
Streaming live on the ESPN Madison YouTube channel.
Welcome into the Jump Around 3.0. I am Jim Rutledge alongside Pablo Iglesias in the Everlight Solar studio. And we are doing a special show today talking about the Badgers in the NCAA tournament. You normally can listen to the show 12:30 on Thursday on ESPN Madison's YouTube page. We're normally joined by Nolan Winter. Hopefully we'll get a chance to talk with him later in the week, but we do have Josh Pastner, basketball analyst, coming up a little bit later in the show.
Giving us some analysis.
He's Pablo Iglesias. I am Jim
What up,
Rutledge.
what up?
And we have lots to talk about today. Badger basketball. Well, I guess we'll start with the Michigan game. Across the board, a horrible basketball game. I mean, both of those teams, tired legs. But I won't hear any excuses for tired legs for Wisconsin or any excuses about Wisconsin losing out on a possible Milwaukee spot to Iowa State. I have a simple answer to that one, Pablo. Don't lose to Penn State.
Yeah, this was very clear about what a double bye does for you in this situation. Don't get me wrong, but I do feel like that I have to take this with a very, very slight grain of salt because you're playing 4 games in 4 days. I do agree with you. You did need to take care of business to take down Penn State, and that's how important the double bye is in this situation. One, you're playing one less day, and now Greg Gard actually did say to reporters after is that he was a little frustrated because now they have to travel to Denver and play on a Thursday afternoon. So that's not a great situation from there. I still think it's good, though, that they, at the end of the day, are the number 3 seed. But going back to the Penn State game, I think the Badgers did redeem themselves based off of how they played in the Big Ten tournament. They put themselves in a significantly better position. Obviously would have loved for them to have won the Big Ten title, but it's not like that they got blown out of the water. Yes, you end the game on an 11-2 run, but I still think that Wisconsin, for what they were playing with, 4 games in 4 days, it was a respectable fight for me.
Yeah, it's a respectable fight. I am shocked that Michigan is not a higher seed. Honestly, I think Michigan at this point is better than Wisconsin. Michigan winning the Big Ten conference title, finishing higher in the Big Ten than Wisconsin, and a 25-9 record as opposed to Wisconsin's 26-9 record. And Michigan would have ended the season then on a 3-game winning streak, including winning the Big Ten conference title. And I think they're better. They beat Wisconsin twice. So, I mean, it is what it is, but that game was bad. 32% field goal percentage from Michigan, 22% from Wisconsin, 17% from 3 for Wisconsin, 27% from Michigan. So to your point, everyone dog-tired.
Yeah, the other side of it, too, is, again, you're not going to be playing 4 games in 4 days. Yes, you're going to have to be dealing with travel. You're going to have to be playing in a new environment and everything, and 2 games in 3 days, but that's the most that you're going to be looking at. That's where I stand here, is that these legs are, yes, they're not going to get any fresher, but you're not going to be playing in this.
You don't agree with Gard that it was a detriment to them, like this break for Thursday, like to be able to play on Thursday, it won't affect their legs?
I mean, it's not like they're playing games the rest of the way. I think they're going to recover well. It's going to be a huge test for these guys. I can understand the frustration of having to travel quickly and going into a high-altitude situation, too, which is something that you got to think about. But, look, I think that they're going to do the best that they can to recover, get ready to go, and I'm confident in these guys. I genuinely am.
What has you confident in them?
I think it's the way that they beat Michigan State, honestly. It's the way that they came out and played UCLA. Frankly, just the legs were tired. You could tell. They had good looks once again. It's just a tough situation with – it was almost like the way that the Michigan State game played out, was that they had good looks, they just weren't falling. And, yes, I would be frustrated, too, if I was Greg Gard, which he did say, again, to reporters, that 24 hours prior to that game, they were making the same shots that they were missing. But I do feel confident because you take down a top dog like Michigan State. They're number 2 in their side of the bracket. That's a big deal. I don't think
isn't it also a big deal than losing to Michigan, right?
I don't necessarily.
So, like, beating Michigan State is a big deal, but then losing to Michigan, who also is tired and is also a team that would be a peer. I think we figured this out on the jump around.
Yeah.
They're 4-8 4-8 or 4-9 against teams in the Big Ten that will go to the NCAA tournament. Mm-hmm. So like that's not one shining moment there. Also, I worry about this team's legs in general. Since the Washington game or against the Oregon game, we have Tanjay 9 of 20 from the field. That's not horrendous. Then 4 of 10, 3 of 13, 5 of 10, and then 2 of 13. He got his groove back a little bit, and then obviously we'll chalk up the Michigan game, the horrendous shooting there, to tired legs. But I do worry, and we talked to Nolan Winter about this as well. This Badger team, especially Tanjay, who's had to do all the heavy lifting, I'm worrying they're running out of gas, and that Thursday, the 2 days over the weekend, it might not be this first one, and we'll get to where we're going to have them going in the tournament. I think they might be more tired and more out of gas because there isn't a ton of depth on this team.
Wait, you don't think this team is deep? I feel like this is the deepest team we've seen in a little bit.
That's not really saying a lot, though. I mean, this team hasn't been deep, but I mean, who's scoring besides Tanjay consistently?
Well, we had Blackwell yesterday.
Right, consistently. So we had two guys, but then like who else is scoring consistently on this team?
Well, let's see.
There's no answer. I mean, consistently, someone is capable of having a game.
Nolan Winter's been picking up despite his injuries.
I mean, he can have a game consistently. Yeah. It's Blackwell or Tanjay.
I feel like that this is just a significantly deeper attack. I don't know. The teams that I've been around feel very top heavy. It's either one or two guys, and if they're not going,
I guess this team feels top heavy to me too. Because,
but why do they feel top heavy to you?
Okay,
then?
So last year they had Storr and Hepburn, right?
Yeah.
This year they have Tanjay and Blackwell.
Okay.
None of the other players have changed dramatically. Klesmit's the same guy. Kroll's the same guy. I just don't. I mean, Winter is Winter is the saving grace, but he's dinged. Like his shoulder is a real thing. So and he's young. I'm not putting on his shoulder like he's not a good player. I'm just worried that if we're asking. When I feel like the buckets will definitely come, it's from Tanjay and Blackwell. Tanjay looks tired or figured out. I'm going to go with tired. And then you got Blackwell. And again, I'm talking about a long run. I'm not talking about winning their first game. But I'm just saying that I'm a little bit – this team is showing flashes. But last year they did the same damn thing. I'm sure if we had done the show last year, everyone's excited about them coming in, right? They lost to Illinois in the Big Ten title game?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just – again, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
I'm gonna go with the fool me.
All right,
that's the route I'll go on. I'll die on that hill.
And then, look, there's nothing wrong. You can just choose optimism for it. I think it's based in a lot of. It's just as likely they flame out as they go anywhere, in my opinion. This team does not seem like a team that is built for a long run because they're completely dependent on a 3-point shot.
But you can't put some stock in of the run that they put together in these 4 days.
They won one impressive. They lost to Michigan. That would have been a run. Beating Northwestern is nothing.
You're not going to. This is a 3-1 run that they went on. Yes, you lose the big one. Yeah, that sucks. Don't get me wrong, but it's not like that they got pushed over to the side completely.
I put them back to the exact same team I had them going in before the start of March. Okay. I thought they were the 4th or 5th best team in the Big Ten, and then I started to wane on that and maybe said they weren't that good. And now the way they finished, I'd say they're the 4th or 5th best team in the Big Ten. What does that get you? I don't know. I think it's matchup dependent. I can't look at this and say Wisconsin has to have the right matchups or they're screwed. Now, we can look right now, Pablo. We can kick into the bracket here. Montana, I'm not worried about. I mean, if we're worried about Montana, they're a good team. I'm not saying that Wisconsin won't have a good challenger if this game is close. I mean, Money Williams is a really good player for Montana and a nice story, Malik Moore. But Montana, matchup-wise, I don't think is anything the Badgers should be concerned about. Yeah. And so Wisconsin's efficiency against Montana, that's a game where I unquestionably have them winning that game.
Yeah.
I have no worries about that game.
I don't really see much. The Badgers coming in as a 17-point favorite, too.
Yeah.
And this game isn't the one that worries me, and maybe we'll see how the VCU-BYU game goes.
So let's get into that one because this is where I sit on it. BYU, now they have a lottery pick player at guard position, but BYU I think is a better matchup. And I'm not saying it's a great matchup for Wisconsin, but BYU-Wisconsin is honestly a better matchup than I think Wisconsin versus VCU.
Yeah. BYU I know is a pretty electric offense too from what I know. They're averaging just about 80 points, just a little more.
Yeah, no, it'll be a fun one. Again, they have one of the best players in the country as far as pro prospects on BYU. And they're not, again, this isn't your grandfather's or even your father's Wisconsin. This isn't your grandfather's BYU. They're a good team. VCU, when you read about them, They are a long team. They are a team that can defend. They are a team that can pressure the ball. And realistically, I think the Badgers have one ball handler that I truly like. Tanjay can score the ball, don't get me wrong, but like a true ball handler that if you're being pressed, they can break the press consistently and make the right decisions every time. It's Blackwell. I don't like Klesmit doing that, Janicki, or any of those other players, including Tanjay. Also, you don't want Tanjay expending his energy doing that. So VCU is if the Badgers play VCU, I have the Badgers. At this moment, I have to revisit it, losing to VCU, because I think VCU is a nightmare matchup for Wisconsin.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
You're pointing out, I hear exactly everything of what you're pointing out. What would convince you, if Wisconsin turns the tide, what would convince you, like, where you're like, okay, I'm back in on this team?
I never was in on this team going farther than the Sweet 16.
But what could they do? That's what I want to ask you. Like, is there something that they could do where they would convince you otherwise?
No, because they're a 3-point shooting team that's streaky shooting threes. They can't rebound, the offensive rebounding, and they're not a great ball handling team. They don't have, and so like, I like Blackwell as a guard, but I don't like Klesmit as a guard. Tanjay's a good scorer. So for me, like, the only thing that would change would be matchups. So like Matt Hamilton had if they go to this part where Wisconsin plays BYU, I'd give Wisconsin the edge over BYU. And if Wisconsin could somehow play St. Mary's, then I do like Wisconsin's chances against St. Mary's. I don't like Wisconsin's chances against Alabama, because Alabama is one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the country, one of the best teams defending the three in the country, and they're a great rebounding team. And they're coached by Nate Oates, who is an elite coach. So, like, that to me is their absolute ceiling. Now, again, if the Badgers get to the Sweet 16, I was like, we played in the Open. This season is an A+.
Yeah.
I just don't see this team as anything but a nice story. But Greg Gard needs a nice story. They need a Sweet 16. And if they get to the Sweet 16, they have maximized the hell out of the talent on this team.
Yeah, I was talking to Riley Yauk about here behind the glass here at the Everlight Solar Studio. Riley, yeah, you and I were talking about that. Hey, Sweet 16's a good shot, right? I mean, we want this Badger team to go further. Where are you standing at as a UW guy?
Are you talking about how far I have the Badgers going overall?
Yes.
Or I have them going to the Final Four. And that's just straight optimism. You can't stop it.
Come on, Jim.
Badgers are going on a run.
Feel the Final Four vibe.
And why? Just vibes. That's it. I really don't have any concrete evidence other than once we get past Alabama, then we play a banged-up Duke, and then it's to the Final Four. They lose to Houston in the Final Four. Great run. Gard, his job is saved, and he goes on the
This is the
Bo
nice
Ryan.
story you
He
want.
goes on the Bo Ryan run, and next year he goes to the Natty. Hopefully wins. There we go. Badgers, Final Four.
I think by that point, Duke would be healthy. Cooper Flagg, if he's playing by that point, that's a couple weeks out. So I think you get a healthy Cooper Flagg there. Greg Gard's job is safe. I have nothing against Greg Gard or this team, and I have nothing to say but great things about what this team has done this year. I just don't think they're that good. I think they're fifth in the Big Ten good, and I think it's going to be very much matchup dependent and calls dependent, and if their shots falling dependent. I'm not going to bank on that team going far, but I will have nothing but flowers to throw at the Wisconsin Badgers if they get to the Sweet 16.
So you're telling me point blank, like going back to the question, there's no way that this team could convince you that they can make a deep run.
I'm not going to throughout the entire year, any team can make a deep run. Through the entire year, they've been a team that doesn't beat tournament teams. They are well below 500 against tournament teams. So outside of catching fire, which they are capable of doing, hitting threes, but I feel like that only carries a weekend. And so are they going to do that 3 weekends? I don't know. They haven't really done that now for months. Like this team firing on like stringing together like really, again, you could flip it and say, oh, they played really well those 2 games back to back because they were hot against UCLA and then they just stayed hot against Michigan State. They were basically walking flame people against Michigan State and
that they were
UCLA. So they're going to be somewhere in the middle of that. The Michigan game, I'm not faulting for that one. I do think Michigan's better. I think Dusty May's a better coach. I think Michigan's better. But, like, I'm not holding that against them. I'm saying that throughout the year, once they've kind of found this point, I've thought the Badgers are a team that look like a Sweet 16 caliber team. Could they pull off one more win? Sure. But if they get there, I think it's fantastic. I think it's just it is hands down, if they get to the Sweet 16, the best coaching job Greg Gard has done at Wisconsin.
Yeah, you know what? I'm still with it. I don't know if I'm with Riley on the Final Four. I appreciate the optimism.
Hop
here.
on the train now.
All right, buy your tickets now before it's too late.
Exactly.
San Antonio. It is a fun time to be there in the Final Four. I did cover that a few years back. That's a fun place to cover a Final Four.
Charles Barkley says it's not.
Oh yeah, that's right. Eating them big old churros. Hey Chuck. Hey, no, San Antonio's fun though, man. I don't know if I'm booking my San Antonio trip yet, but I feel optimism.
We
I
can
feel
look
good.
at our brackets on the other side. Again, more from Wisconsin, it's just matchups. And again, they play BYU, and I really like their chances. They play VCU. I don't like it. Wisconsin historically under Greg Gard has not played well against a team like VCU. And then Alabama is VCU on steroids. So I think their absolute ceiling is Elite Eight. But we can look more at our brackets. On the other side, this is a jump around 3.0.
Accounts Payable Workflow Junior Achievement of Wisconsin implemented a document management and workflow automation solution from James Imaging Systems. Junior Achievement Vice President of Enterprise Services, Lori Salzman, highlights the positive impact.
That impact has made it much more streamlined for us to handle the entire process from receiving an invoice to having it paid.
How has streamlining your accounts payable workflow benefited Junior Achievement's mission?
It has allowed us to be more on mission and strategically reach out and expand our impact to be able to reach more students.
If others are looking for workflow automation solutions to better serve their clients or customers, what's your suggestion?
If anybody is looking for a good partner that is there to help find solutions, call James Imaging.
Content management and workflow automation from James Imaging Systems, your local business technology partner. Call 608-221-3457 or visit jamesimaging.com.
ESPN Wisconsin's Mark Tauscher here for Kohler Services. Well, if you've been putting off your bath or shower remodel, now is the time to turn to Kohler Service. Family owned for 150 years, Kohler is your Wisconsin manufacturer providing care for life. And this month only, get $1,000 off your Lugstone shower remodel and no payment financing until 2026. Visit KohlerServicesWI.com to request your free quote. With fast, professional installation always included. Again, that's KohlerServicesWI.com.
The area's best high school sports coverage is Zimbrick Honda's presentation of Prep Mania.
The boys basketball state tournament is here. Find out who will take home the coveted gold ball. Join us live from the Kohl Center starting at 1:30 on Thursday and Friday for semifinal coverage. Then, starting at 10:45 on Saturday, we will have all 5 state championship games.
Zimbrick Honda's Prep Mania on 100.5 ESPN.
ZipRecruiter is the place. ZipRecruiter is the place for talented teachers, savvy software developers, and master mixologists. ZipRecruiter is the place where you meet all these people and more. That's because ZipRecruiter is the place for job seekers who are looking for new opportunities. In fact, ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day, so you can find the right candidates right away. It's no wonder that ZipRecruiter is the place for skilled skydiving instructors, accomplished airbrush artists, and proficient pediatricians. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter to hire, you're missing out. ZipRecruiter is the place that's so confident it can make your hiring easier that it lets you try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. So if you want the right candidates for all your roles, ZipRecruiter is the place to go. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
America is kept safe because the Army National Guard responds, protects, and supports our nation when it needs them most. The Army National Guard responds to disasters such as wildfires and floods. They protect us with missile defense, cybersecurity, and civilian support teams for chemical, biological, and radiological hazards. Be there for your community and your country. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about part-time service. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
It's all about the green and gold and nonsense on Kyle, Brust, and Nortman.
Those aren't human rips, but they could be human rips. Is somebody going through my trash? Do I have a woodpecker and a raccoon problem? Do you need to get rid of raccoons?
You got a zoo, animal house. That's what you got. Woodpeckers, dogs, raccoons.
Kyle, Brust, and Nortman. Presented by Bud Light, the official beer of the NFL. Weekdays from 2 till 4 on 100.5 ESPN and Wisconsin On Demand. Sports Center updates on 100.5 ESPN are brought to you by Metro Kia of Madison. Metro Kia of Madison, Madison's trusted Kia dealer. Stop into Metro Kia on the east side of Madison or visit metrokiaofmadison.com.
The Jump Around special bracket edition continues live from the Everlight Solar Studio. I'm Jim Rutledge alongside Pablo Iglesias. We have Josh Pastner coming up next segment here to talk some basketball. He is a analyst, and he is a former coach of Memphis and Georgia Tech, also a walk-on for one of my favorite teams from back in the day, the Arizona Wildcats. I believe that team featured Michael Bibby and Miles Simon, and I think even Dickerson was on that team.
And Jason Terry.
Oh, and Jason
We looked it up earlier today.
I didn't even have to look up. I forgot about Terry. That team was one of my favorites, absolute favorite teams. Lute Olson, a legend of a coach there as well. So excited to be talking to Josh in a little bit. Walking through the Badgers' chances in the tournament. Before we get to Marquette, because I do want to at least ask this show how we feel about Marquette. You're all in on Wisconsin.
I'm all in.
All right, but what worries you?
What worries me is their defense, actually. I mean, we've known historically how this program, at least recently, how they've been under Guard and Bo Ryan and predecessors, is that this is a defensive team. So really, if anything, it's just a defensive slip, because we know that this team is not the most offensively sound. They have a good history of being a solid offensive squad, don't get me wrong, but hey, to your point, like you were saying yesterday, the shots might not fall at Michigan, and that could hurt them. But, I think what helped them was that Michigan wasn't making a bunch of shots either. That was just ugly. That was an ugly slugfest.
That was just unfortunate, both those teams were spent.
I do, though, flipping it the other way around from a glass half full, is that, again, it doesn't feel like that if one guy is off, this whole team is down. I do feel like that, hey, John Tonje has an off day, it's John Blackwell that steps up. If it's not him, then yes, it's a mix of guys. Nolan Winter will come off, or will be the starter, and have good looks from three. He looks really confident out there. The guy that I also love too is Jack Janicki coming off this bench. I love watching him and the energy that he brings as a redshirt freshman. Having Max back in that starting lineup, though, he's not going to be flashy in the points column, but we've talked about this on past episodes of the Jump Around too, is that he brings that moxie, he brings that confidence, he brings that.
Is there a case that he's overconfident? Because I was talking to Molly Brown, and she was, she's not the only one. Plenty of Badger fans who watch this. I think at the Oregon game, where for no good reason, Max Klesman thought the ball should be in his hands at the end of the game instead of John Tonje's. And there are 3-point heat check shots that he takes, and I'm like, what are you doing? And I do wish at times he would still fully understand his role, that he ain't that guy. That if Blackwell and Tonje are on the court, the best shot is one of those guys taking that shot, unless Max is wide open late in the shot clock there. And he still takes more shots and more hero ball shots. And what I call hero ball shots is like shots that are not too early in the shot clock, or not open enough shots, or him trying to drive and score. That isn't his game. So he definitely brings a lot to the table. I get what you're saying, but there are times where I see Max Klesman and he takes some shots and I get mad at him.
And that I would agree with you on that one. You brought up one point where I would love to see them do more, not just Max Klesman, is when the shots aren't falling, these guys can drive confidently too. It's not just settle for three-pointers. Just drive as much as possible. That was one of the bread and butters early on in the season for John Tonje, was that he was getting to the line, he was driving, he was drawing contact. I thought there were some calls that they probably should have called yesterday, but they were really letting him play, and it is what it is. But I say just keep attacking the rim. It's not one of those just keep throwing up shots and hopefully something falls. You know what? I'm not saying completely flip the table and try a completely different strategy, but this Wisconsin Badgers team is also very strong at driving to the rack, and I think they also need to remind themselves that too. So like I said, if they get cold at three, why not keep driving? Why not keep attacking the rim? Get those easy twos. I know that this team is confident in their abilities. Heck, we even saw the mid-range monster of John Blackwell a little bit yesterday. He was having some smooth moves, man.
He was.
Putting some people in the spin cycle.
Well, Tonje
so I think he's
Blackwell
getting it hot at the right time.
Are the only two that I can trust driving to the rim and scoring consistently. But Tonje, I think I'm bringing a point with the free throw.
Yep.
Honestly, a reason for optimism with the Badgers is that Tonje didn't run out of gas. He's just holding a little in a tank to be able to have this tournament run. Because this is my concern with the team. That Tonje and Blackwell, more Tonje than Blackwell, because Tonje is a couple years older than Blackwell. And I worry that he's running out of gas. And we're going to disagree on Kroll is night to night. Nolan, for different reasons, Nolan Winter is night to night. Klesmit is night to night, all for different reasons. Klesmit's just a streaky player. Nolan's a kid. I mean, they're all kids, but Nolan's still very young. This is his first time playing. You can't rely on him showing up game in and game out. You hope they can. Stephen Kroll, we know that, Greg Gard has called out nobody in my lifetime, I swear, as much as he calls Stephen Kroll. Sometimes 100%. He shows up, sometimes he doesn't. Blackwell and Tanjay have always showed up. And again, I like Winter, but he's still young. That it's just I'm not putting as much on him. Carter Gilmore is a nice story. It's still 4 points a game. And like he's a good defensive player, and he brings good energy, but like that's not a reliable scorer. So my concern is, does Tanjay have enough left in the tank at this point in the year? And there's been some evidence that maybe he's running out of gas a little bit. Peak Tanjay can get this team to the Elite Eight, absolutely. And if we have a healthy and tank full Tanjay that can grind his way, get to the free throw line like he was, and knock down threes and be that aggressor that he was, paired with Blackwell, this team definitely, I think, can get to the Elite Eight. Still think they probably lose to Alabama, but it's a fight. If we have a tired Tanjay, and then that's where I get concerned. And this is where we just don't know. How worn out is he? Because he hasn't been getting to the line as much. He's been settling for threes more. Why is that? Is that team's defenses? Is he keeping someone in the tank? Is he exhausted? Is he figured out? He's still been good, obviously, but like I still think this team, if John Tanjay goes out and is 19 points a game and puts up his averages, the Badgers are not getting past the Sweet 16. If he goes out and can have some Herculean type performances, which is asking a lot, then I think absolutely they can go further.
I felt like that I actually saw that Herculean effort this weekend.
Yes, but
for
then
the first time in Purdue. Well, yeah, yesterday the breaks were, but it's not like he was settling for certain shots. There were a couple towards the end. I will back that up. I was like, okay, maybe not take that shot. But on the whole, I saw a lot more. I hadn't seen John Tanjay from the Purdue game in a while, and I expressed my skepticism. I expressed that, is he the same points as you? Is he running out of gas? Is this all that we are now going to see from John Tanjay? But I just saw something different, man, this weekend. I truly did.
And I'm just saying I want to see
the most points in school history, to do that against Michigan State, that's a Herculean effort right there. Again, you don't finish the job, unfortunately, against Michigan, but I gotta take some stock in his performance overall this weekend, and I saw the Purdue game is what comes back to me. That's the effort that I saw for a majority of this weekend from John Tanjay.
I agree, but the games leading into the Northwestern game were ugly from him. So my concern is, did that empty a tank? I'm not saying he's not capable. I just got to see it game in and game out from Tanjay, not on an ability level, but what does he have left level? And so that is my concern, especially. And I'm not saying clearly he was completely out of gas against Michigan. He was abysmal against Michigan.
I don't think anyone was really 100%.
But now it's like, how we'll figure out, did that empty the tank, and can it fill it back up for Thursday and Saturday? I hope we can, but again, that's my red flag, because if it, and this is where we disagree, is if it can't, they're not getting that far. They need Tanjay to get past the Sweet 16. They are not getting past Sweet 16 unless Tanjay is doing what he did against UCLA and Michigan State, excuse me. And I'm not saying he can't do that, but then for how long can he do that?
I'll be honest, can anyone really do what they did against UCLA? More so John Tanjay, because what was he, 6 of 6? 6 of 6 from 3?
Yes, he was.
It was ridiculous.
Friend of the show, Derek Engler, chimed in that John Tanjay is 21. No, he turns 24 here in April.
Yeah.
So he's an old man. That's the secret to his sauce. Why is John Tanjay so good at college basketball and not a pro prospect? Because he's 24 years old. And a lot of these teams, we talked about, this is my issue with college basketball, the best pro prospects are teenagers. And go look at Rutgers. Teenagers, they're going to be number 2 and 3 in the NBA draft.
Maryland, too.
But Maryland's winning.
Yeah.
But I'm saying Rutgers, but look at Illinois. They're up and down. They're inconsistent. That Wisconsin has Max Klesmit is going to turn 23 here soon, or close to it. John Tanjay is turning 24. Kroll is 22, 23. They have rarity of the olds and for college basketball, which has been their advantage, because when you have the best players as far as pro prospects as teenagers, a 24-year-old going against teenagers, even if they are pro prospects, is a mismatch in the favor of the 24-year-old. And so his grown man body, his grown man game works in his favor. Wisconsin's doing nothing wrong. I love this. I would always, if you're trying to bring people in, bring in the older player, the guy with some belt. Look, VCU, their best player, I don't know how to say his name. Is it Joe Bamisile?
I'm not going to lie. The first time I watched VCU was yesterday. That was a great game. If you didn't watch that one.
His last name is spelled Bamisile. Bam Ilse. Anyways, he played at Vatech, George Washington, Oklahoma, 6'4", averaging 23 points per 40 minutes. One of the most efficient players scoring, one of the best defensive players. He's 42.5 vertical, 7-foot wingspan, and a great assist ratio as well. But a guy similar to Tanjay, older player, grizzled vet, having played on multiple teams, that works in Wisconsin's favor.
I want to challenge what you're saying, and from what I've seen in teams' past is that they've crumbled because they were just frankly too young. Honestly, like I've seen guys that you look at Brad Davison's, you look at Tyler Walls, and those guys were leaders in the locker room, but I don't know if they had as heavy of a presence with older guys in the locker room. That's where I see like John Tanjay coming in and Klesmit stepping up and Kroll stepping up as a leader. I think we both agree that he does need to be a lot more physical down low in the post. But from a leadership standpoint, from keeping guys from a level-headedness, that's where I think these Badgers can thrive. That's where I think that these...
But like Stephen Kroll, Max Klesmit, and all this, they've all been part of the problem. If I'm going to be optimistic about this team, I'm looking at Blackwell, Tanjay, and Winter. Because everyone else has been part of the problem.
They can keep those guys level-headed.
Right, I'm just saying, no, I don't care. Yeah. I don't care about level-headed. I want talented basketball players. And for me, this team goes as far as Tanjay and Blackwell take them. Because they're the only ones who don't have the stink of failure in the tournament that the rest of these players have. Winter as well does not have that stink. Klesmit and Kroll are covered in that stink. Same with Carter Gilmore, but it's not his fault. It's not like he's a rotational player. But those players have all failed over and over again in the tournament. This team is led by two guys that would give me optimism in Tanjay and Blackwell that have not failed in that moment. Because I will remind everyone, last year's team was what, a 4 or 5 seed?
5 seed.
Yeah, they were 5.
12-5 upset to James Madison.
Okay, so they were a 5 seed, but they got all the way to the Big Ten title. I guarantee. I remember everyone was so mad when I picked them to lose. I picked them to lose their first game because I knew that was a horrendous matchup. And so I'm not just saying this to say it. I still have them going probably the Sweet 16, but I still, and I think that's as good as they get.
Well, the point that you've made, too, is that you could see that in that game that they clearly James Madison came in there and stole their lunch. I haven't seen this Badger team act that way at all.
True.
Where they haven't folded because it's like, oh my gosh, what's happening? This bully's coming in and they're trying to impede. They've fought. I have seen this team fight. And even yesterday was a fight. Yesterday the shots weren't falling. You're trying to figure something out. You're trying to fight for the Big Ten championship, and you are putting up a fight at the very least.
Yeah.
I have seen these teams fold. Yeah. And I have seen that's what I saw last year, and that's where my optimism is coming.
I love
can't
it.
Tell you exactly
I can't buy in on
be.
a team that hasn't been in the Sweet 16 in 8 years.
Well, it's going to happen now. We're calling it.
I hope you're right.
I wish I was so close. I was really hoping that my Big Ten tournament victory, like we could have played that in the Open. I was waiting to gloat.
That would have been awesome.
It would have been fun. But you know what? Hey,
are we going to be doing this next show next week? But like, man, I was really hoping my Sweet 16.
Don't you dare.
Don't put that in the air, Jim.
Don't you put that on me, Jim Rutledge.
Look, there's two types of fans, and look, I'm taking it game by game. So I know we're going to get to Josh Pastner in a second. To be honest, I mean, I have Marquette losing the first weekend because they got
a bad draw.
They a horrible draw.
We were talking about this in the office.
They got Michigan State.
That always seems to happen, too.
Always right? The 7-2 matchup, too. We were talking about this in the office earlier. It's one of the most played matchups in the NCAA tournament. I think it's the top 5 most played matchup.
It is crazy. Well, and then Hunter Vaughn, also one of our teammates here, huge Marquette fan, and he believes that Marquette is also going to fall in the first round because I think there's a couple bigs on New Mexico that are going to give Marquette some problems.
Oh, and also one thing to note, also the Badgers, if they play VCU, it's basically 50-50 over the last few years, the 3 versus 11 seed.
Huh.
We got Josh Pastner coming up next. This is the Jump Around on ESPN Madison.
Listen to Madison Money Guy every Saturday morning at 7 a.m. on 100.5 ESPN and ESPNWisconsin.com.
I like to refer to inflation as the silent killer. It's an invisible risk. It's just the idea that things get more expensive over time. You're going to need milk and eggs when you're in your early 60s and when you're in your early 80s. You're going to get a loaf of bread, and it's going to be more expensive 20 years from now.
Christian Finfrock is the Madison Money Guy. Call him today at 208-1800.
Coors Light presents To Chill or Not to Chill. When your friend skips your favorite song on the playlist. End the friendship. Or choose chill because that song lives rent-free in your head anyway. And you planned ahead by bringing Coors Light to the party. And the sound of that ice-cold can cracking open was music to your ears already. Coors Light. Choose chill. Celebrate responsibly. 2024 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Matt Hamilton here. As a proud Wisconsinite, I'm all about supporting local. And there's nothing more local than Metcalf's Market. Metcalf's Rewards is your key to incredible savings. With thousands of coupons available every week, loyal members enjoy special pricing on select sale items. Plus, it's free to join. And when you sign up in-store using your phone number, new members instantly receive 500 points, equivalent to $5 off your purchase. Visit Metcalf's Market in Hilldale, near Westtown Mall, or in Wauwatosa today. And start saving with Metcalf's Rewards. Metcalf's Market. Bring local home.
You're only minutes away from a better buying experience at Simden Chevy in Mount Horeb. Jim Rutledge here. What is a better buying experience? Well, that's the thing. You get to define it. It is the experience that is customized to you. What experience do you want at a car dealership? They can be your trusted friend or your trusted expert. So if you're in the market for a new or new to you Silverado, Colorado, Blazer, Trailblazer, remember, you're only minutes away from a better buying experience. And that's at Simden Chevy in Mount Horeb.
Have you been waiting to buy your next home? Stop. Now is the time to get housed. What's up, Madison? It's Stacy from Bruner Realty. Nobody has a crystal ball to know what the future holds. The longer you wait to find your next home, the better the chance you'll be paying more for it than you would be today. Don't miss out on what could be the best opportunity to find your dream home. Contact our team at BrunerRealtyInc.com to help start your search. That's BrunerRealtyInc.com. Let's get housed.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6759. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6759. That's 800-575-6759. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
The Milwaukee Bucks, the Golden State Warriors.
Antetokounmpo's got it on the other side now. Spins inside. Whirling dervish. Count it with a foul as he lays it in.
Tuesday on Madison's home of the Bucks, 100.5 ESPN.
The Jump Around 3.0 Special Badger Bracket Edition continues live from the Everlight Solar Studio. I am Jim Rutledge alongside Pablo Iglesias. And Pablo, you were able to get us a pretty exciting guest today.
Yeah, very excited to have Josh Pastner join us too, former coach for, what was it?
Memphis and Georgia Tech.
Memphis, Georgia Tech, and then also ESPN, Peacock analyst, has watched the Badgers a lot. Also got to talk with them last year before Wisconsin played James Madison. Look, hoping for some better luck here. So excited to have Coach here too. Coach, welcome on.
Hey, guys, thank you. I just wanted to say, I take it your producer there just had me play the Queen, We Will Rock You, coming in on a like a walk up to the home run to the batter's box there to home plate. Man, I never got that when I was coaching at Memphis and Georgia Tech. If I end up getting a head job somewhere eventually, I'm going to steal him and have him come with me just for that alone. I've always asked the marketing department when any of the schools I coach, can we get "We Will Rock You" as we're about to jump ball and sit ball, like get the crowd going? Come on now. I was always like, they were like, no, come on, coach. So I want to steal them for you, but from you if there's ever another time being a head coach. But that all being said, glad to be on with you guys, and great time of the year. Obviously, a lot to talk about. I know you probably want to talk a little about Wisconsin and some Big Ten, so fire away.
Yeah, Josh. We'll appreciate that too, and we'll make sure we keep Riley close to us too, as much as I'm sure he'd be a great hype man for you. Well, let's look at Wisconsin's matchup too with Montana. Can you give us a little bit of a scouting report from what you're seeing with this matchup? Wisconsin a 17-point favorite, but also look, you know what? You know how it goes. Greg Gard even saying that no matter what, the bad teams are on spring break. What are you seeing from this matchup in the first round?
Well, and I love Coach Gard. I actually, later in the year, I actually said he should get Coach of the Year. They obviously didn't, and John Tanjay as the Player of the Year. They didn't finish maybe as strong as I thought they would. But I say that all to say there's still some good teams not playing right now. I think West Virginia and a few others would disagree with Coach Gard on that, Boise State and a couple others on that. That being said, let me talk first about Wisconsin. I think they're really good, and I've said this for a while, and I know they kind of they maybe had some slippage at the end of the regular season. Obviously, they got to the championship in the Big Ten Conference Tournament, but I think they're really good. I've been saying it for a while, even back in early February, that I think this team can make a run and win games in the tournament. Why? Few reasons why. Here's my reasons. Number one, they defend without fouling. Okay? Number two, they don't turn the ball over. Number three, they are fundamentally sound at everything they do. Four, they offensively, they make threes. They make threes, and they make threes at a high clip, and you have perimeter players in Blackwell, Tanjay, and Klesmit being able to make those threes. And then lastly, they make free throws. And so I like this team to win games. Obviously, they got to get past Montana, and then, I think BYU was the hottest team in the country, and then Houston just kind of the first 7 minutes of that first half in that semifinal game in the Big 12, they couldn't even score. But I think BYU and VCU are both really good. And I say that to say if Wisconsin gets by Montana, whoever they play, probably whether it's BYU or VCU, that's going to be one of the best round of 32 games in the tournament. Like, I would be so excited to watch that if BYU and Wisconsin advanced. I mean, that would be a high level game. In regards to Montana, Travis DeCuire is the head coach there. He's this is his third time he's brought the team there. He's done a good job. He's a disciple of Mike Montgomery, used to be a longtime Stanford coach, longtime Cal Berkeley coach, was the head coach at the Golden State Warriors, and actually coached at Montana back in the day, way back when. But their main player is Money Williams. I don't know if it's a great name. And he's their leading scorer. Just trying to do when I was doing research on him for our preparation for our college shows for ESPN. The one thing about these guys, they're a good basketball team. Do I think they're going to beat Wisconsin? No, but they have shot the ball extremely well over the last 15, 14 games of the season. I mean, it's around 50%. So they have the abilities to do that. As I mentioned, the kid Money Williams he actually comes off the bench as well too, but he leads the team in points and assists, and he's a good player. They've got multiple guys that can play, but they're from the Big Sky, and I think the Big Sky is is the hardest travel league in any of the conferences in all of college basketball. If you really dive into that league, it's the hardest travel league. That being said, they're not going to be able to match up to Wisconsin as long as Wisconsin plays with a impose your will mentality from the start. They don't play on their heels. They play to win. They have an aggressiveness about them, which they've been offensively, playing downhill, moving the ball from side to side, attacking the paint. They should not have an issue with Montana.
Josh, quick question about Badger basketball. I love the optimism on how they can match up against these specific opponents. But in general, what should Badger fans, or what matchups do you think, or what do other teams present that the Badgers could struggle with?
Well, in general, I think the biggest thing that they would be a team that would just kind of a team that's going to grind it out in the half court. It's funny. Previously to this year, that's what kind of what Wisconsin was. They're going to kind of grind you to the shot clock and wear you out a little bit and screen the heck out of you off the ball. It's kind of reversed now. A team that's going to do that, I think, would give Wisconsin some problems because of those guards having to guard. Crowell having to, if they have a mobile big, having to try to chase him around, and then that takes him away from the basket. So I think those type of things could give them an issue. I don't see that to be Montana, and that is definitely not the case with VCU or BYU, because both those teams are going to play fast, up-tempo. Now, if you look in the bracket and you start looking past, and I think it's a realistic outlook to see that Wisconsin's going to be in the Sweet 16, and then they're playing Alabama, and I'm telling you, that's a good matchup too, because the way they play, that's assuming Alabama gets there. That's a really good matchup for them because of the way they play and the speed. And yes, they have really good players. I don't know the situation with Grant Nelson. He got hurt. He might be out, and that really hurts them. The one team on that side that would give them a problem matchup-wise would be St. Mary's. And if they played St. Mary's in the Sweet 16, St. Mary's will grind you now. And they're kind of what Wisconsin was in the past. And that, to me, would give Wisconsin a problem in the Sweet 16 if those two met.
Josh, wanted to talk to you a little bit about Wisconsin's past play, too, with the losses to Penn State. And even, yes, you're playing for the Big Ten championship, but you do fall to Michigan. Do you feel like that those losses raise any red flags, or are you pushing that to the side?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, look, every loss you could always it's equivalent to like Auburn. And I'm not comparing Wisconsin and Auburn, but they've lost 3 of 4, and people are saying, this or that. No team's ever won a national title going in with 3 of the 4 losses and going into the tournament. I mean, I'm just like, hey, look, man, Auburn's been pretty good all year long. They've got the most quad 1 wins of anybody. They've won tremendous road games. And I would say the same thing about Wisconsin. They've been pretty darn good. Yes, they lost to, Penn State. You mentioned the Michigan game. Heck, I mean, even a few weeks before that, the way they lost at home to Oregon was not how, the amount of turnovers that Wisconsin had in that game. So, but I wouldn't put to me, it's not a red flag. To me, it's not a place of concern. I just think that you've got to look at the overall body of work. For the most part, they've been really good. And you want to see how teams are playing as of late. And they just went to the Big Ten championship game. And so I wouldn't have any concern with some of those losses. And look, the facts are the facts. The Big Ten's a tough league. Everyone's good. I actually think the Big Ten, I said this, I don't understand why leagues don't bring all 18 teams to the conference tournament. The Big Ten bringing 15 of the 18 teams cost 2 bids. Mm-hmm. It didn't give Nebraska a chance to win games to get on the right side of the bubble, and it screwed up Ohio State because Ohio State lost, so they did to themselves. But they needed to win that first game. If they had somebody else to play in that first game and they win, who knows what could have happened. So, they should have brought 18 teams. But I say all that. That's another more of a general conversation that's over the overall conference. But I wouldn't have any concerns where Wisconsin is right now. I like their draw. I think that if they win a BYU game, that will be the game to watch in the round of 32.
Josh, last question we have for you. It's been great stuff. Big Ten in general. What team do you, from the Big Ten, I guess excluding the Badgers, because we got your thoughts on that, do you think is poised to make a run, deep into the tournament?
I don't think any Big Ten team is going to be in San Antonio in the Final Four. I love the Big Ten. Love the league. Great coaches. I call it the glob this year, meaning there were so many good teams just kind of bunched together. Maybe not a lot of separation because there was just a really good league. But I don't see any team getting to the Final Four. I don't know if it's that, or like last year, you knew Purdue was just head and shoulders better than everyone around the country. I don't see that this year. Look, I love Michigan State, obviously what Tom Izzo's done. Incredible coaching job. I think the most talented team in the Big Ten is probably Maryland, and I love Derek Queen, and their starting 5 is so good. They're not real deep, but their starting 5 is at such a high level. But I just don't see any Big Ten team. I think Big Ten is going to win, and they're going to have some chances to advance to the Sweet 16. I just don't see any going to the Final Four, and I don't think they're going to break that streak of a national championship team from the Big Ten Conference. The last one was obviously in 2000 with Michigan State. I think that streak will continue for another year.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Josh Pastner, again, you can college basketball analyst. You heard him on ESPN. You can also hear him on the Peacock games. Josh, really appreciate your time.
Okay, thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you, Josh. Fantastic insight from him. I did laugh that on Jim Matt and Molly, Matt Hamilton picked the Badgers to make a run and beat St. Mary's because he liked that matchup better than the Bama one. And I said, no, Bama would be a great matchup. And apparently we both were wrong. That St. Mary's would be the matchup the Badgers would want, not the one that they'd, or they would not want St. Mary's as the matchup. And so we'll see.
Bold to say no Big Ten. Well, I guess Michigan State would be the heavy favorite, but I mean, yeah, this is a locked and loaded bracket too.
Yeah, and we talked about it before, and I know the Badgers knocked out Michigan State, but that's a one-off game in a tournament setting. I thought Michigan State is the only team that separated itself from the rest of the Big Ten. I'm sorry. What do you call them, the glob?
Mm-hmm.
We can talk about it more on the other side, but yeah, Wisconsin, Michigan, all these teams are a big glob together, which goes back to they could crap out right away. They can make a run. We'll wrap up the show on the other side. This is the Jump Around on 100.5 ESPN, ESPN app, and Wisconsin On Demand.
It's time for the Milwaukee Basketball Report on 100.5 ESPN.
Lillard's going to tee up a three, and he splashes it through for the left wing.
Brought to you by Michelob Ultra, the official beer of the Milwaukee Bucks.
A pair of big games for the Bucks at Fiserv Forum over the weekend. First on Saturday night, taking on the Indiana Pacers, and it was none other than Giannis leading the way.
Another double-double, and Giannis rumbling through the teeth of the defense. He stuffs it down with a one-hand jam, and the Bucks have stretched out to an 8-point lead.
34 points, 10 boards, and 7 assists for the Greek Freak in a 126-119 win on Saturday over the Pacers. But on Sunday, it was the Western Conference leading Oklahoma City Thunder taking it to the Bucks 121-105. And now it's a 5-game road trip out west for the Bucks, starting in Golden State against the Warriors on Tuesday night.
This has been your Milwaukee Basketball Report on Madison's home for Bucks basketball, 100.5 ESPN. Brought to you by Michelob Ultra.
Ben Brust here to tell you about Zimbrick European. They're Mercedes, Audi, Porsche, and certified pre-owned. But the best part is I've been working with them since 2018, and the evolution has been a 2-door, a 4-door, and now it's time for an SUV. My life has changed, and it's changed with Zimbrick European. Being a dad has made it really important to have the comfort and the safety that the SUV will bring me. Again, Zimbrick European off the Beltline at Rimrock Road. Of course, I found the sexiest car on the lot. Check them out.
In the next 30 seconds, I'm going to tell you how to save money and save the planet. It's simple. Ditch your energy bill and make the switch over to Everlight Solar. While electricity prices keep rising, Everlight Solar will give you the chance to take ownership of your power while also reducing your carbon footprint. As a local company based out of Madison, they'll be there with you every step of the way as you make the switch to solar. To learn more about how you can save money and save the planet, go to everlightsolar.com.
Professional volleyball is in full swing from here in Madison. Don't miss a second of the action. Cheer on Love Madison Volleyball as they make history with some of the best players in the world. Olympic medalists, NCAA All-Americans, and one of the most talented rookie classes ever. This is volleyball at its highest level. Experience the excitement yourself. Get your tickets today at lovb.com. Volleyball is the next major league.
Attention business owners and executives. Looking for a bank that's invested in your community as you are? Look no further than Starion Bank. As a Dane County community bank, Starion offers competitive deposit and loan rates while actively supporting local initiatives. Visit a business banker at one of our convenient branches in Middleton, Monona, and Sun Prairie. Starion Bank, full-service business banking, lending, and cash management.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, millions of men experience ED, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. At Hims, our own board-certified urologist, Dr. Peter Stahl, knows this better than anyone, and he knows that Hims can help.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, Senior Vice President of Men's Sexual Health at Hims. I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to Hims.
Through Hims.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs. Options at up to 95% less than the brand names when you get started at hims.com/joy. To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% less than brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit.
We're on the Packers.
I just don't feel like Goody hits the home runs that merit holding on to draft picks like they're absolute gold. Because his first-round draft pick isn't gold.
Nobody covers the green and gold like 100.5 ESPN.
Spring is here. Time to refresh your home. During Steinhaffel's Get Ready for Spring sale, you'll find all the latest looks and trends to transform your space. Need design help? Our designers are by your side every step of the way. Plus, if you buy a premium mattress, you'll get free premier delivery on everything. The Get Ready for Spring sale, only at Steinhaffel's and Steinhaffels.com. Relax, it's Steinhaffel's.
Welcome back to the Jump Around. Thanks to Josh Pastner for joining the show. Guests on the Jump Around are brought to you by Steinhafels. Get into Steinhafels and rest a Beauty Rest Black for your chance to win a dream vacation to Hawaii. Right now, save up to $400 on a Beauty Rest Black mattress. Upgrade your sleep to an adjustable base, and you'll save up to $300. Plus, get up to $300 in Steinhafels cash. With Steinhafels 60-month financing, a Queen Beauty Rest Black mattress can be yours for just $38 per month. Don't overpay for a good night's sleep. Shop Steinhafels in-store or online, Pablo. I am Jim Rutledge alongside Pablo Iglesias. Great stuff from Josh. We got a little bit of time here, so Pablo, I'm going to ask you, do you have your Final Four locked in yet? Or
I did one bracket. I felt like it's super basic, but I think the champion's going to be pretty consistent. I really love the way Florida looks. I think they are coming in hot at the right time, to say it like that. Just the way that they move up and down the floor. They're big, they're fast, they can score, they can play defense. They can just do just about anything, and they could do it at a very high and efficient level. As much as I want to see Bucky out in San Antonio, I got to be real to an extent too. I think I'm going to go Florida.
So the Final Four that I believe I have here is I have Auburn versus Florida and Duke versus Houston. Nothing special. It's all one seeds. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to go back and maybe make some adjustments here. But I think Florida versus Duke in the national championship would be the safest bet there.
Yeah.
And I have Duke winning it all, but I got a spot in my heart for Florida, so maybe I'll flip it. Elijah Martin, former FAU Owl, one of the key players for the Florida Gators, and so I am rooting for Florida. I am rooting for Florida. I'm rooting for Arkansas. I'm rooting for Michigan, and I'm rooting for Wisconsin and Marquette. Are some teams early on that I definitely want to make a run in the tournament. And this year, I don't really hate Duke. Cooper Flagg's fun to watch, Con Knippel, lots of interesting storylines.
Yeah,
a lot of different storylines in there. Alabama with Nate Oates as their coach. Obviously, the Wisconsin game could be the asterisk there, but Bama, I wouldn't mind them making a run. Nate Oates, a Whitewater guy, would be great to see as well. I'm sure there's more Wisconsin ties I'll learn as the tournament goes along. There's probably just things that I'm missing, but that's my early gut is I'm rooting for some teams, and I probably flip up my bracket a little bit. It's a little too chalky for me.
I feel like we got to book it. It's one of the more popular upset picks, Drake over Missouri.
Okay.
We're going to do that. I got to be the Missouri Valley Conference homer. As much as I would have loved to see my Bradley Braves dancing, I got to go with Drake. Drake's a good team, and I respect him. That's an upset that I'm going to pick. I think a lot of people are going with that one, too, in the first round.
I'm going to pick one in my heart, but I don't think it's a crazy one. Arkansas versus Kansas, so a 10 versus 7 seed.
Yeah, Calipari? Yeah, I think Johnny C's got it.
And then Joel Davis is the FAU player on that Arkansas team, and Kansas has been kind of streaking in the wrong direction. So also we could have
John's.
We could have Calipari versus Patino.
That would be sick. That's exactly what I'm looking at now. That's going to be
next round.
Dope.
All right. Thanks, Pablo. Thanks, Riley. Thanks to Ryan and everyone else been part of the show. Thanks to Josh Pastner. This has been the Jump Around, 100.5 ESPN, ESPN app, and Wisconsin On Demand.
Being a Pella consultant means